Ryan Alder with AE Partners.
AE Partners, what is that all about? Because right away I'm thinking architect and engineer, but then I'm thinking, wait a minute, it could be energy, so AE Partners.
Well, originally we were Atlantic Energy Partners, and then we recently rebranded just because we're going to go after some new sectors. When we originally first started out, it was very oil and gas biased, and it very much still is. Oil and gas is our kind of bread and butter, but we are going to look at spreading into different sectors now. So that's the reason for the slight rebranding. But we were always known as AEP, so we've kind of tried to keep that still in there with the original branding.
AEP, that's kind of always been the acronym for you guys. And so before it was Atlantic Energy Partners, but now AE Partners or AEP. Okay, great. And what is it that you guys were doing there at AEP Partners?
So we do a mix of things. We're an oil and gas recruitment firm. That's where we started out. We've been trading now for just over a year. Myself and some colleagues left an old business where we were doing the same thing, but saw a gap in the market and decided to go it alone. So we do a lot of temporary and permanent recruitment for a number of oil and gas service companies, from small service companies all the way up to very large service companies, and we also work with some of the biggest EPCs in the world as well. So we have a number of contractors running. Our specialist seems to be sort of in the flowback and well testing division. We've been doing that for, like I say, a number of years now. We've got a lot of completions and production consultants out as well. And then, like I say, we also have the permanent side of the business where we'll go out and do a lot of executive searches for firms, a lot of retained searches, headhunting. So that's kind of the two main parts of our business. We do some sort of talent mapping and salary benchmarking for companies as well, where companies will come to us and kind of want to get a grips on the market and find out, what the market's paying for certain positions, so we can go out and run campaigns and take our findings back to them of what the market's doing at the moment.
I know you have some business up in the Bakken. What exactly are you guys doing up in the Bakken region up there?
I've personally been supplying guys to the Bakken now for probably the last 3 years. Again, that's mostly flowback and well testing consultants. So I would say on average year round we probably have 40 to 50 guys up in North Dakota between sort of Watford and Williston. We work with a number of service companies up there, and we've been very successful in the back and always seem to keep the guys busy and always seem to keep the clients happy. So it's been a great area for us, and we've had a lot of growth up there.
How about other shale plays? Are you in other shale plays? Are you a Bakken lasered or? Go ahead.
No, so to be fair, we work nationwide. We have to do a lot down in West Texas, a lot in New Mexico. We used to do quite a bit in Colorado, but that's kind of quieting down at the moment. We've worked in Wyoming, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Alaska, and we also do stuff globally as well.
I noticed your accent is very distinct. You must be from like Moose Jaw, Michigan, or something like that. No, where are you guys located from?
This is my best Texas accent, actually. No, we're based in Houston, but originally, as you can tell by the accent, I'm from the UK. So I started trading in the US probably about 3 years ago, but still haven't got the Texas accent quite yet.
We just had a recruitment person on recently talking about some of the needs in the Bakken for different positions from their particular organization. Water haulers was a big one, and then there was a couple other ones. But what are you seeing from your guys' organization and recruitment firm? What you said, flowback is a big one for you, huh? Is there other ones, or is that just basically the number one thing, or?
No, we do a lot kind of on the pipeline side as well. So there's a lot of pipeline jobs up there at the moment. A lot of need for welders. I know you just mentioned drivers there as well. I mean, for as long as I've been doing recruitment, there's always been a need for drivers. I think it's just it's kind of one of those industries where there's always going to be a need and there's always a high turnover. So that is always kind of one of the main things companies need help with. CDL drivers. But yeah, I mean, pipeline, the flowback and well testing side seems to be pretty busy for us. But yeah, there seems to be a big need for welders and pipeline inspectors, etc. up in the Bakken at the moment.
Anytime I get a recruiter on, I like to ask them if there's a central theme they're seeing across the country or maybe the globe or maybe a different shale play, whatever it might be, because everybody's world's a little bit different, but they all really work together and coexist somehow. So anytime that there's, kind of either an issue that's popping up or maybe a new trend that seems to be, taking off, or just kind of an awareness type of a thing. Is there anything that, is standing out in your area of expertise in terms of the oil and gas industry, whether it's from a profession standpoint or I was reading the other day? Ghosting is a big issue now, all kinds of different things. So I don't know. And, it's kind of an open-ended question, but just kind of from your perspective, are you seeing any trends, issues, or things to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, what I have noticed, there's a lot of guys retiring, and there's a lot of sort of younger guys coming in now. So a lot of the sort of very knowledgeable guys are starting to leave the field and either retire or go into different areas. So now have a new generation coming into the oil field, which can cause issues and can be beneficial to the market as well, because you still need that next generation. But as well, there is a big sort of skills gap because you are losing a lot of experience as well. One of the other things I've noticed is a lot of companies seem to be putting a lot of more money into their sort of R&D departments and process engineering departments. So there seems to be a spike in work for process engineers and research and development engineers as well, because a lot of companies are looking to do things more efficiently or see how they can get more production out of the well. So that's one thing I've noticed. There seems to be a lot more money going into the research and development side.
Now, I don't know if you're able to answer this question or not. I'm not sure where the legal terms are with HIPAA and HIPPO and whatever HR terms there are these days. But one of the things about the big retirement shift, the crew shift that you're talking about, there's something like 70% of the industry is to be retired by 2022, 2023, and we're in 2020 right now. So we're just a few years away from that coming to fruition. And there is a generational gap. During the 1990s, there was a downturn. There was low oil prices for a decade. So there wasn't a lot of hiring going on during the 90s. And then not until the mid-2000s and that sort of thing. So there was a couple, a good 15 years where there probably wasn't a lot of hiring being done. And then, so what I'm saying is there's a big gap. There's a couple generations, actually. So,
yeah.
And where I'm going with this is there's different educations among different generations. Are you guys allowed to kind of, ask questions about who understands and respects the industry that was built, and, just kind of, there's this big, it's a very political hot button these days, and it shouldn't be, but energy is. And at the same time, the industry would probably want to make sure that the people that are getting hired do have an understanding for a respect of how the industry was built, the land and the connection between the industry. And do you know what I mean by that? Without, I'm not trying to get into a big political heated debate here, but at the same time, I'm just curious about how far do some of these recruitments go?
Yeah, no, I get your question. Like you say, it's kind of very political, and I mean, everyone you ask would kind of probably have a different answer to that question. But I get where you're coming from, and there is kind of an old generation and a new generation, and the two kind of do clash because they're both, like you say, they kind of have a different respect for the field. And it's a lot easier now than what it was a long time ago. So some of these guys have been in the real hard days where it was very much a real tough man's industry. where you had to be tough to survive, and it's kind of not as tough anymore. And the older generation, I think, struggle with that because they've seen how hard things were in the past, and they kind of do take a little bit harder on the newer guys because they've got it a lot easier than what they did when they first broke out.
Oh yeah, no, it's two different worlds, and the industry's going through a change, and a lot of it, in almost in every area. When I was first doing the program 8 years ago, a lot of the CEOs that would come on the program would use the word paradigm shift. And keep in mind, the word paradigm shift in its actual definition is a very rare word that's used. And when you've got CEOs of publicly traded companies who can get sued, who have shareholders listening, who, you know what I mean? Like, these guys don't use words like that, exaggerated words like that. But when multiple of them are using that, you got to start saying, okay, what does a paradigm shift mean? In the media, I understand it because the internet was our paradigm shift. You got newspapers going bankrupt after having a monopoly for 150 years in a town. That's a paradigm shift. When oil and gas paradigm shift, well, not only do you got hydraulic fracturing, which I like to call flushing, is happening. Well, that was a paradigm shift. You got big data into HR. That's a paradigm shift. You got this environmental movement happening, so public relations and PR needs to go through a paradigm shift. Every which way you turn, it seems like the industry is going through a change. So you can see where that generational gap would cause some questions, I guess, and some, just some uneasiness. But at the same time, there is some sort of progress at least happening.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, like you say, progress happening. I think it's kind of educating people to doing things in the new way, but also respecting, like you say, the way things have been done in the past as well. So everyone's kind of on a mutual understanding and works together rather than works against each other.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I appreciate about the industry is the community building, the way that they really support each other. And for me, I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship and the true form of capitalism, how it works. And I do, where if you make some money, you give back to your community, and that's the way I've seen the energy industry operate from day one. And so it really pains me to see how easily somebody can just disregard the industry and say, let's ban it based on, because it's the chic thing to do. It's hip, it's cool, it's fun, that sort of thing, when they don't even really think about it. And I get it. I know I get the pet rock, and I get fashion and the, how easily trends can happen, but this is kind of a dangerous trend to happen. But anyway, I just sidebarred there for a second there. Brian, I didn't mean to do that, but I do that from time to time.
I get where you're coming from. It's, the oil and gas industry is probably one of the most generous industries for giving back, and really do care about the community. So like you say, I think people kind of want to be hip and overlook sort of the benefits that really do come from it, not just people's livelihoods, but the amount that companies give back to the community as well. I think it gets overshadowed by some of the negatives that they like to put into the press.
Well, let's get to kind of a main event question, because a lot of people, whether they're looking for a job or not, they still like to, in the old days, in the newspaper days, they'd look through the help wanted ads, and then it switched to the monster.coms of the world, and now mostly to the recruitment type sites and etc. So what type of jobs, name a couple positions that your firm is currently looking for, and if you need to drop a couple bullet points after which each one is, feel free.
Yeah, we're currently, we've got a lot of roles in at the moment for process engineers based down in the Woodlands in Houston. So we're looking for process engineers, senior process engineers, and we've also got some principal process engineer positions open also. Like I say, they're all Houston-based. All of the job descriptions are available on our website, where you can also apply. They offer one of the largest EPCs in the world, who are massively growing their technology division. We're also, like I say, always looking to bring on more flowback and well testing consultants. As we always have spikes in work where we could always use extra guys. So, especially guys who are actually based in North Dakota, we have a massive shortage. So if there are any local guys who specialise in the flowback field and are looking for some long-term steady work, and we'd always be open to receiving their resumes as well, because we do have a huge shortage of local North Dakota workers for that work.
Ryan Alder with AE Partners, and you mentioned livelihood, so we should probably mention how you make your living. So give yourself a plug again, and who is your customer? Who is it you're looking for? You mentioned flowback's your specialty, or that seems to be what you guys have been fortunate enough to get some business in. But to give yourself a little bit of a plug, who you're looking for a customer, how people can get in touch with you, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we work with like I say, with a number of service companies. Whenever they've got gaps to fill or might have a spike in work and not enough employees to cover it all, we send a lot of qualified consultants to go up and help out for as long as they need to take care of the job. Like I say, we have a lot of flowback and well testing guys. We also provide a number of oil and gas companies with production and completions consultants as well. So that's where we kind of fill the gap on the temporary side. And on the permanent side, we work again with from small service companies all the way up to some of the biggest service companies in the world. We go out and do a lot of direct hire recruitment for them. So we'll go out and headhunt candidates for certain positions that they have to fill. We work on a number of roles really, anything from field level all the way up to to VP level. So we do a lot of executive searches for firms, placing high level VPs into companies, and we also go out and recruit a lot of field staff as well. So we've got a broad range of what we do really. We kind of touch on everything. We try to be sort of like a one-stop solution, so companies don't have to bring multiple firms, and they can come to us and we can pretty much cover all aspects of their recruitment process for them.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, it is www.atlantic-ep.com.